Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
I wanna heal, I wanna feel what I thought was never real. I wanna let go of the pain I felt so long. Erase all the pain till it's gone. I wanna heal, I wanna feel like I'm close to something real. I wanna find something I wanted all along. Somewhere I belong.
The 100K
challenge.
bags challenge. Yes. So how it works, guys, is 50K goes to the coin developer, and then to do whatever with their 50K, support development, marketing the project in any way they want. And then 50K goes to the token holders through a USDC per rata airdrop to those holders. And there are some stipulations here. Eligibility: coins must be launched on bags, obviously. Must use one app, as I mentioned. Organic growth: no bots, bundles, or wash trading. Creator wallet must be verifiable, subject to manual review. So there will be some fair play activity here, and the team will review it. It's like, you know, doing yoga up on the summit of a mountain with birds fluttering around him. What's up?
Something out of a movie. And he's muted.
And he's muted.
All this time in the mountains away from technology will do
Yeah,
it to you.
and Lex, do we get the co-stream? Do we get the YouTube co-stream, or
you
do
hear
you
me?
insulate your YouTube audience from the crazies on crypto Twitter?
Yeah, frankly, it felt as though quite a lot of my YouTube audience were not keen into my foray into the crypto.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, great to be here, guys. Thank you for having me.
Welcome
Apologies
back.
for my lateness. As I said, I took my girlfriend like an hour away. She's recently got into DJing, and she's DJing this workout class in the mornings in the middle of the jungle. So I went down there and set up the subs and all of that. But it did mean then coming up that mountain road, if you get behind a truck, you're fucked, and there's no signal.
I feel like Lex's life is just not real, dude. Like for me, he lives like a life from a cartoon movie or something where it's just like your girlfriend's DJing in the middle of the jungle for a yoga class is like wild. You know what I really love? I've been getting into this when I'm trenching or just hanging out. I'll play these DJ sets where it's like they're in a jungle or they're on the water, some super cool place for the sunset. It's like, I don't know, it feels nice. So
Yeah, fuck yeah.
okay. But GSD 2.0, something you've been working on for a while. I think you kind of came to this big release just the other day here. GSD 1.0 has been, as shown on the screen here, insane with its growth. I think you had some of your like all-time high growth days pretty recently as well. And then you're like, all right, 2.0 time. Run us through what's going on.
Well, so effectively, I didn't create GSD. I didn't create it with the optimal conditions. You know, the original GSD, I did what I could with what I had, and what I had was Claude Code. And I love Claude Code, and I've had a lot of fun there. But the main issue is that there's not too much that you can really do to mess around with Claude Code itself, the software. You know, they kind of scramble it a little bit. So you can use all of these nice extensions inside it, but you can't get outside. You can't let the LLM effectively get outside and mess around with the harness itself. And so I was kind of bound by what features were available, and it was great. You know, clearly we're at something like 27,500 stars, 150,000 downloads a month. People love it. But a lot of the issues that kept coming up, a lot of the things where it was like, yeah, it would be really good if we could fix that or improve that, were just not possible to do when you're operating inside of, it's like, you know, if you're going for dinner at somebody else's house, you know, I don't have as much say over how the steak is cooked as if I was cooking it at home. So anyway, this all led to, obviously, OpenClaw came out a few weeks ago. Can you believe it was only a few weeks ago? Isn't that nuts?
And Peter Steinberg's already working at OpenAI. Wild world.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, just the acceleration of this stuff. I mean, when you look at a chart of like all the things and how long it took to reach, you know, a certain amount of users, this is insane. Like just the OpenClaw, anything in this whole vertical has been just parabolic.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's still a very niche scene. So in terms of the actual global population, it's a very small number of people, of which a very high percentage are using it all. You know, there's just real kind of ADHD in this scene of everybody wanting to try new things. But following on from that point, like when OpenClaw first came out, I downloaded it, I looked around, I was poking about, being like, well, what is cool about this? And the thing that actually stood out to me the most was a library that OpenClaw was built on called Pi. And it's an open source coding agent, kind of like using Claude Code or Codex or Gemini, but you can pick whatever model you want. And it intentionally comes very plain. It's very well written, but it's very plain. There's like 4 tools. But the way that it was built, the developer basically decided he wanted to build something that allowed people to just extend it and customize it and make it so their own. That's why he shipped it simple. So anyway, I was playing around with it for a while before I actually realized maybe this is the home. It's an open source tool that can use any models. Mario, the guy who's developing it, is still very active on it. And I just effectively went in. I was like, okay, well, how do I use this as the foundation for creating what I would have always wanted to do, which is a fully autonomous coding agent, which I just couldn't do properly with Claude for a variety of reasons. You could make it work, but it wasn't very observable. You know, one of the things that's so nice about this is, as you can see there in the video, you can watch it work. It's not a black box that you do get a lot of time with people doing like Ralph loops and stuff. The issue is that it's this kind of black box thing where you don't really feel like you're involved in the process because it's this headless mode of Claude or whatever. Whereas this, I figured out a way to actually, at the end of each section or phase, it automatically clears context and starts with all of the context that it needs injected. So it doesn't even necessarily need to go and read a bunch of like the core knowledge files, because it starts knowing what it needs to do every time on a fresh context. And as you can see yesterday, that video ran for 9 hours. That was it building multiple of my projects at once for 9 hours straight. And I can now literally go to bed, go to the beach, go and do whatever, and I can let it run. Somebody's even just shipped an update this morning, which allows you to have messages sent to you on Slack or Discord. So you really can go to the beach.
Time out. All right. I got to break into this because I did watch you last night, Lex. I was thinking, okay, is GSD like building itself, or is GSD building something you're interested in? Like, are we looking at something that's building kind of the machine? Like what's going on? What's it building?
What I had building yesterday was something which I thought could be fun for the Bags hackathon, which I was like, okay, well, what can we do with the Bags API? And also, what would potentially benefit the tokenized side of GSD? One of the ideas that I've had, I think we've discussed it multiple times as well, for one of the things that one could do with a token is just to have a more automated buyback and burn kind of setup, or not even necessarily always burning tokens, but setting up, should we say, like an automated framework behind the scenes that's super simple. That means that I can sell a thing, whatever that thing is, and just have effectively that automatically follow rules of buying a certain amount of Sol, swapping it for said token and burning it straight away, all on chain, and making a beautiful dashboard for it. And one of the main reasons as well is it's like there are hundreds of thousands of people who have used GSD already. Let's just imagine, of those who were to actually want to buy something, how many of those really are ready to like go and load up a crypto wallet to like pay for things? I would probably say only 5% in the grand scheme of things of people who are actually willing to be like, yeah, I'm going to pay for shit with crypto. So you have to be able to offer people payments on card if you want to have any kind of traction. Like if I actually want GSD to be successful as a subscription service for the inbuilt app, it's not feasible to only sell it for crypto. This being said, what it built yesterday was a service that takes payments through Stripe, so you can use any card, PayPal, Venmo, anything, and it then automatically, for legal reasons, it doesn't convert it like straight away. That's what we would say actually if we were to write up the docs. But it actually takes those profits, the business's profits, puts them into a wallet, and then once a certain threshold is filled up in that wallet or a certain time of day, it automatically swaps for, like, it buys Solana, it buys the token with the Solana that the hot wallet has, and then automatically burns it. And then I think one of the other things it added, because eventually I just went for dinner. I was like, fuck it, I'll come back and see what it's doing later. One of the other things was the ability to then lock things. And it's super cool because although what it built yesterday isn't, I'm not going to make that my business. Like, hey guys, here's my new buyback and burn business. I wanted to build a thing that I'm going to use with GSD anyway. So even if the actual front end of the website, I'm not going to create Furnace, the app, come and burn your fucking tokens.
Yeah.
I've created the back end, or should we say GSD created the back end for its own monetization, which just allows for, and I forgot to even kind of mention the point here, it's like the more and more success it has commercially for being the incredible skilled tool that it is, people in the crypto sphere who hold that token are going to be part of an increasingly deflationary token.
Which drives trading volumes, which drives fees to you, fees to the other apps on that Bags is attached to it. So what I want to ask about this real quick. So the people are paying with Stripe to access what? To access a UI, unlike Dom's first time trying it, like where it's a bit of a black box, but a UI that helps you use the tool. Sorry, I didn't pick up what was.
So one of the cool things also about having built this on Pi is that Pi runs with what we would call a TUI, like a terminal user interface. And that's what GSD, you saw yesterday when it was just running autonomously, that's what it's using. It's using that terminal user interface. But the way that it's built is very intelligent, that there's actually, that just connects very neatly and modularly to the actual processes happening behind the scenes, which can be streamed and sent back and forth in just simple JSON, which is JavaScript object notation. It's just very simple looking kind of code language that you use for like mapping values, like value pairs. Super simple for a machine to be able to read and do stuff with that, which is why then the key thing right now is how do I offer GSD as a concept to people who have A, absolutely no interest in crypto, but probably even B, more importantly, zero interest in downloading a terminal and doing what we tried to do the other day on a live stream, trying to install that shit. How do you present to them something that's great? You can be like, oh, well, they could go and use V0, or they could go and use Lovable. No, because they're toys. Instead, we're going to create a really, really delicious, UI that doesn't scream like I'm all scary coding shit. Then basically just using GSD2 in the background, which is why I then released it yesterday as a GitHub repo, is because this is the open source code that is eventually going to be the back end for the front end that I'm then going to monetize. So I'm still not entirely sure yet whether I'm just going to offer a subscription tier. I probably almost legally shouldn't and couldn't do such a thing, which is to offer a subscription and then let people use their own max plans and log in, on their Anthropic code. So I think probably what will happen will be to do a similar thing of offer, say, a $20, a $100, and a $200 a month plan. And then I just handle all the token costs through something like Open Router. And then of, say, 50% of all profits will then be spent on some form of help to the token, whether 25% of it gets burnt straight away, 25% of it gets sent to a treasury. What will actually drive value from GSD beyond the crypto side will be being able to sell this app as a service to people like, Billy Bob at the doctor's office, who's actually really curious and creative.
Yeah, but it's not just Billy Bob at the doctor's office. Like, we're talking about James Wilson
America.
at Microsoft is using this thing. So, we're getting, a little further up the technical scale, which is high signal. And shout out Low Cap Hunter, who goes on LinkedIn and finds GSD and shows who's using it.
He should be paid as a LinkedIn scraper. There's all of these services out there where you can pay to scrape LinkedIn. No, just hire Low Cap.
Yeah, he's doing some sort of wizardry there. One thing I really want to cover, you said 50% of the front end profits are going to go towards helping token holders, and maybe you're still figuring out what that looks like. Why did you decide with that? And how's the token and the funding helped you, I guess, accelerate building? Have you been using this money to spend it on other verticals? How is this looking for you right now?
So the money in many ways has been a godsend. I think it probably at this point it's been maybe like 150, 160,000. I know it says on the bags thing it's 100, but it goes down to 97, goes back up to 102, all based off of the actual trading price of Solana, not when I sold my tokens for when I sold the Solana fees. That being said, it's meant that I've been able to just dedicate my full-time energy towards this. In no way have I had to focus on anything other than, okay, GSD. Every day I wake up and I get to think, what do we do today? And then also I've spent a decent amount on actual token costs. Believe it or not, it costs a fucking shit ton of money to even build these things that build things. And what's also been very helpful is X advertising. So one of the days the other day, I got 1,000 followers on X, and we were a few thousand over the amount of NPM downloads that day. And I think that was largely because of a post that I did, which got like 200 and something thousand views. And
it's like higher, Lex. I think it was like 400,000 views.
Oh, crazy. Well, the last time I checked, it was like 200 or something, but that drove a lot of attention to even the original Git repo. And so it's super cool to actually be able to spend these fees as well, actually just on marketing the thing, and in no way feel like, oh, fuck, I'm burning my own pocket. I'm using the fees from GSD to promote GSD. And obviously, GSD2 only came out like, I don't know, 14 hours ago. We're only getting started here. And look at that little chart. Obviously, I've set this to be logarithmic, but based off of the time, we're going to see some pretty crazy adoption here. We've already had some amazing pull requests and issues opened by some members of the community who have already improved a bunch of it. So really, really cool stuff.
So question for you. I've seen, obviously tech Twitter right now is going crazy about anything AI, anything autonomous agents. So this stuff just naturally goes really viral, I think, even without paid ads, just like UGC creators doing it. Have you thought about using some of these funds to onboard, I don't know, some sort of full-time just lead for content? I think Orgo's done this really well. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Spencer from Orgo. I think we maybe have mentioned to you, but they got Nick on board, I believe is his name, and he's gone viral many times over now, just talking about tech, and then Orgo being in the background and kind of funneling.
Just doing little demo videos. Hey guys, I just created this with Orgo, and by the way, I did this, and this. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Have you thought about someone to do that? Because I feel like even that might be more beneficial than paid ads, just because things naturally go so viral right now on X.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear more about that. So there was a guy who wasn't one of the developers who has now just been making content like videos. And am I freezing or are you guys freezing?
No, we're just not moving around.
Okay, nice. Yeah. I'd love to know more about that. I think that does sound like a very interesting use of those fees.
We'll just give Nick a little shout then, and I don't know, what he's paid or and Josh, what is his relationship also on the developer side, or is it purely promotional?
I think the point here is trying to help people visualize themselves using these products so that they understand it and are willing to go in and spend $30 on Stripe. And you can kind of see him here saying, oh, I automated this workflow, and by the way, I used Orgo. And but some of these videos millions of views, and it's very point of view kind of shot. And he's throwing his Mac Mini around, which everyone's talking about, and saying, oh no, use a cloud version of it. But yeah, it's just, that's.
Oh, this is rad. Yeah, I'm definitely, even myself making some of this kind of content rather than the long live streams. Because I think to make some more kind of short form content that just gets people to see. Okay, what 360,000
views on this video. That's wild.
And it's totally an indirect promotion of Orgo. It's just okay, this is such a cool thing you can do with OpenClaw. By the way, I'm using Orgo to host it. Yeah. Right.
Smart.
This guy goes viral all the time. He's got 9K on his account, but he just makes these videos and they all do so. Look, this one 260K again. Okay. So I don't know. It's always
the thing is, I found a way. If you didn't know, you can use Orgo. You don't need a Mac Mini, and you can actually install it into Orgo, and that's cool. And all you can see, I just run the command here and installs CloudBot into the
But
spin
he
up
totally just runs through like cool ideas, and then like he works in how he's using Orgo as the product, kind of powering it a little bit. Really good marketing. And again, because there's so many people that have a fascination for this right now on Twitter, and it's just like kind of going viral if you're talking about this stuff, it converts really, really well. I don't know if that's, I kind of went on the tangent here, maybe derail this a bit, but
that's really, really smart. Even just reaching out to the community and saying like, hey, is there anybody who would like to effectively work for GSD, creating amazing videos of the shit that you're making? You know, there's almost a nice incentive in a way to be able to reward people to share content about it. Oh, maybe there's even something to look at there that I think could be very cool. How do you incentivize people to create an insight into their own workflows? Very nice. Yeah, great idea.
I can even imagine someone doing a POV video just like that. And he's like, here's how I create a viral app overnight without touching my computer at all or whatever. And it's, shows the app. And it's like, it's super easy with, with GSD, and it just turns over here and shows GSD doing the work. I don't know. Cool stuff. I'm just wondering if you thought about that at all.
I hadn't, and I'm happy that you brit it up.
Okay, good.
I want to tap into just kind of where 2.0 is at and the weeks ahead. So you have this new release. It completely is autonomous. Like, I don't think people realize this is a massive jump from 1.0. Like 1.0 was not autonomous. Like Dom was physically answering, doing things.
Yes, do this.
2.0 it was going by itself, bro. Like it was completely autonomous. So you mentioned, and you said, I've made the most powerful coding app in the world, or coding agent in the world. What do you mean by that? I
just mean that the approach to building these AI agents, I think a lot of people get confused and they think that the models, they say, oh, Claude Opus 4.6 is the best coding agent, or, ChatGPT 5.4, whatever. The models are only really as useful as the tools that you give them and the guardrails that you place around them to ensure that they behave in an opinionated rather than just kind of like they can do anything in an open-minded way. Because these models can role play anything, So if you don't set up a system for that model to be constrained into a particular opinionated direction of here is how we do things and here is what we use to do those things, you end up with just this very vanilla and kind of like helpless tool. So, Claude Code is an amazing tool, not just because it's got a nice terminal UI and obviously it uses all the Claude models in the background, but the system instruction, i.e. the primary identity that the Claude models have as their core thought when they load, that is very important. The descriptions that these models have been given about the tools that they have and when and how to use them, it's all very helpful. So all this to say, the way that I built GSD was from the ground up with an awareness of its own agency, that it needs to, if it can, here's one of the rules. It's like, if you can do it for me, you must. Do not ask me to do a thing. If you can verify a thing or test a thing or validate a thing, you must do it. And because of this, one of the crucial things is it's like, well, how can you let a computer sign off on trusting that a website button works? In the past, it would be like, I've created the website, and you go over there and you look at it and like the button's here and it doesn't even work. And the AI says, congratulations, we're done. So how do we give the power to the AI to be able to verify these kind of things? Because it can't just be a system instruction where you tell it, okay, you're a really good agent and you behave really well and you do good work. Because the thing is, these tools are only going to be as effective then as the hands that you give them or the tools, the extensions that come out. And so I built a lot of these tools from the ground up, not just using some random skill that I found, but building it from scratch. So I built a browser tools skill, or not even a skill, it is an extension that runs inside, which means that GSD is able to use the computer, is able to use the Google Chrome testing view, and is able to do everything. It can check the browser logs, it can click, it can type in, it can go through, and it can do all of the actual user testing. But most importantly as well, it does it in a very token efficient way. So instead of just looking at the accessibility tree and dumping the entire fucking log, we have a very interesting approach, which is like, okay, well, how do we give the agent huge amounts of agency and great tools to do so? But how do we also intelligently curate the response output so that it's not constantly overwhelmed by all of the information that it's receiving? So that, for example, I also just shipped last night when I should have gone to bed around 3 a.m. I shipped the Mac use, which means that it can now completely use your Mac as well. It can open apps. It can pull logs of those apps. It can interact with them. So if you're building a Mac-based app, or you're building like a Swift UI app, it can automate the entire process through Xcode using the terminal. It can then actually go and actually test your app. It can do it itself. And so this is what's allowed it to become so much more autonomous and to just be long running in this sense, is that a lot of the times where I couldn't before, even despite the fact that Claude Code wouldn't let me actually do it because of the architecture, like I couldn't reliably trust that the AI had done phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I couldn't really trust it. But now that it can go and look at a lot of these things and it can actually verify, hugely different. And then one other final thing that I think is just so crucial here, I'll split this into two. So research say two more things. One of them is the complete rethink of what planning is. This isn't just, okay, well, I've slapped it into Pi. Even the reason why I've changed some of the names of the concepts in here. We no longer have phases, we have slices. We no longer have plans, we have tasks. And so the reason why I've done this is because I went back to the drawing board completely, and I was like, okay, well, with everything I now know, being sort of unable to kind of just go in and gut the original GSD, what would make planning better? What would make the final step of this agentic flow work so much better? And so one of the things we thought was, instead of planning in horizontal slices, like phase 1 is the database, phase 2 is the API, whatever. Instead of doing that, which is kind of useless, and it doesn't mean you can't do much with just a database, we decided to start planning in vertical slices, which is, okay, well, let's say that slice 1 is authentication, meaning users can log in, create accounts, and edit their profile. That touches on a lot of things. That touches on the database, but it also touches on the API routes. It also touches on creating a front end for users to log into. And so this was one of the fundamental shifts, is I don't want to ever finish a slice, or I don't ever want a slice to be called complete without me, if I want to, being able to sit down and verify myself a slice of behavior, of features of functionality. And so that was a huge thing. And then the final thing about that is, when you actually think in these terms of, okay, well, we've given the agent the power to plan incredibly. I also completely rebuilt the web research tool. So now it actually doesn't just find web results. It actually uses Brave API to synthesize results. That's beyond the point. The research and planning is so good now. Then you obviously have all of these amazing tools, and you've given it this system prompt that empowers it to know that it has a lot of power. But then, as you can see here, this picture on the right or whatever, one of these is just going to disappear and the screen is going to go blank again. And that is this automatic context clearing, which is the key that allows for this to run for 24 hours straight without you blowing through and getting a bunch of context rot. So these are even early day, guys. That's why I even put it out as just this kind of beta version, because I'm sure the community is going to help so much with this as well, and just pushing this forward. But what we're standing on as the foundation here is such a radical improvement over GSD1 that we had to create another Git repo, because it's a different tool in its own right.
My head is exploding right now, Lex. And I think like a lot of people are missing this right now. And I really want to talk about the Bags Hackathon plus this 100K challenge. We ask everyone use of funds for the 50K of the 100K challenge.
Was that a question?
Yeah, sorry, that's a question. Yeah.
What would I do with the 50K?
Yeah.
I think the last thing that I had said was that I was going to put 20,000 of it into LP and then lock it. I got a lot of then people saying, oh, actually, no, we would rather you just use it for, sporadic coordinated buys and put it into like a locked treasury. But I'm not totally sure yet. But I think that 20, because obviously the 50K that I get, the 20K of that, I think would be nice to earmark directly, however it ends up being used, to put back into the chart, whether that's through providing liquidity for coordinated buys or even burning it. Who even knows? And then of the other 30K, I'm going to use that to fucking go ham on marketing this thing.
Nice.
And subtract whatever it costs in like model costs. The rest of it, I think, will be very helpful to be used in just spreading this. I mean, this could go so insanely viral considering what GSD1 did.
Yeah. This is insanely viral too, to be clear already. But yes, yeah,
would like, am I missing something by saying like OpenClaw for coding?
Well, here's the thing. You could give this to OpenClaw.
Help us create the narrative.
So, okay. So one of the issues with OpenClaw is that you tell it to build a thing. Cool. What? Is it just going to use them? Like I said before, it's like you've got this OpenClaw running a specific model. Maybe it's running Opus 4.6. Oh, top tier model here, guys. Frontier intelligence. But then you tell it to go and build something. The actual opinion that it uses, it does use PyCoding Agent under the hood. So it actually would delegate to PyCoding Agent. But you don't have the same kind of a system set up where you could just tell it, yo, through your Telegram, build me this thing, blah, 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 and come back to it 24 hours and it's still building. This can be used headlessly, which means that you can call GSD auto through your OpenClaw, and it will just keep running autonomously in the background. So it works perfectly with OpenClaw, meaning we finally now given OpenClaw a tool which allows it to just safely in the background continuously code while not losing context. I forget what the original question was, something about OpenClaw, but
no, yeah. I guess like I'm trying to phrase this again, like shaping the narrative here. And OpenClaw's so viral, so but you compare that, and I think you did a great job answering that question here. Dude, just curious, are you getting, like we saw just the other day, Moltbook, Meta reached out to, I forgot, I'm not sure if they hired or acquired Moltbook.
I saw that
Moltbook, and then we also saw, of course, the Claude buyout or whatever you want to call it. So we're just seeing these big frontier labs, AI models, whatever you want to call them, picking up these people. Have you been hit up by anyone? Like clearly this is something that's getting a lot of interest and attention. Yeah.
There's been some people who have reached out. I can't say who, and I can't say that I would do anything about it, but put it this way, it's been incredibly lucrative beyond just fees, just in kind of the networking and being able to meet cool people. And I think that will only continue with this updated version when people download this and they go, what the fuck?
Are you excited to get this monetized? Because it feels like you have something really, really nice on your hands, and you're not currently able to monetize this, are you?
Well, I mean, there are ways that I could monetize this lazily and poorly and do a real disservice to the impact that this could have on the open source coding community. what I think is the right way is to serve a different audience. Instead of trying to now monetize on the people who have helped us build these things, you monetize on the people who have, in many ways, FOMO and want to jump into this AI coding space. Those are the people who will happily pay a monthly subscription to have this top tier tool. However, I think the Git repo will continue to stay open source because it is how we have this sort of 1920s in Paris kind of experience with technology here, is that we have all of these bright minds contributing to and improving on this open source project. So monetization will come directly through charging people who have no idea what GitHub even is. And most of the world does not know what GitHub is. Most of the people who would be likely to say yes to, would you like to be able to build your dream app and be able to do it autonomously? Most of those people have fuck all of an interest in any of the things that we talk about on a daily basis. They just want the results, and they will happily pay top tier for something that can reliably give it to them.
Absolutely. You're talking about promotion a little bit. I think we're ready to wrap here. Have you talked with like the TVPN guys or like tried to get on their show? I feel like they're a tech show, and you do really well on that. No, not familiar.
Not familiar. No.
Oh yeah, wow. TBPN, yeah.
They're like us, but like we're considered this new wave of media. TBPN's like a live stream show that's now taking over CNBC, and then we're kind of like doing it for crypto Twitter, but very similar.
Okay.
They have all the tech bros on. So maybe
Sam Altman, all the guys go on there. Like you know, Mark Zuck goes up. Mark Zuck, you know,
Marky Zuck. Did you
Zuck.
remember when Mark Zuckerberg underwent just this almost quiet and instant transformation and from like a creepy freak to a cool dude?
Yeah, it's hard to miss, dude.
A cool overlord of the civilization.
Yeah, he's like wakeboarding in a tuxedo with a beer, and it's wait, what happened to Mark Zuckerberg?
I don't know. He's doing like Muay Thai and stuff now too. Like, yeah. Honestly, though, his life it looks like he's leveled up his life a ton. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it's hilarious. Crazy stuff, Lex. We appreciate you giving us the rundown today. We're excited for GSD 2.0. I think it tackles kind of some of the issues when we were setting up together, like that we had just being a little daunting and hard for the person that doesn't know what GitHub is. And this is really cool to see completely autonomous app building and the stuff that can come from this. So really appreciate you coming on and breaking it down. We will be
proud GSD holder. Proud GSD holder.
There we go.
So.
Fuck yeah. Okay. Well, much love, guys. Thank you for having me on as always, and I wish you the best. I'm gonna go back to GSD 2 and see what we're doing.
Cheers. All right. See you, bud.
What's up, guys? Ciao.
Legend.
Dude, he's like we went from what you were using to autonomous coding. Like this is a massive step. I don't think the market is appreciating that at all.
Well, someone's appreciating it because you look at the GitHub stars and
yeah,
you know, we're 382 here. I mean, 6 a.m. You can see this was GSD 2.0, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 12 hours. Or I guess it must have really released on Wednesday, March 2nd, 11th. Oh, geez. So literally it's been out for, 12 hours, you know, not very long. I'm not sure on the exact time, but 382 stars already. This thing's popping off. I want to see this more on my feed, like just on my tech feed on Twitter, bro. Like I want to see GSD2 getting the notoriety in terms of like human to human conversation around it, as I'm seeing with Moltbook and OpenClaw, because I think this is, you know, that powerful. So
trading is an adventure, and all adventures start with a quest. This is where your journey begins.